Guess who's back? Back again. Us and probably Spectrum problems with the internet. We'll find out as we go here. Let's see how it goes. This is the Full Coverage Football Show. My name is Jeremy. Pretty soon we're going to be joined by my tag team partner, Mr. Drew Ward. We're going to have a fun show tonight. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. We're going to get serious because we got a serious issue to talk about off the field. There's all kinds of off-field stuff. We'll get into it. We'll see you on the other side of this. Brother Drew, welcome into the show. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Can't complain. We got football on. The kids are healthy. Family's healthy. Can't complain about that. How was your Halloween?
Good. We had a little gathering at the house.
Nice.
Kids had a good time. This is the first time trick or treating in our new neighborhood. Because last year we were down in Dallas for a wedding. So the kids had a good time, man. And the wife's itching to get up the Christmas things at this point. So that'll be going down tomorrow. Not a huge fan of the early Christmas. That's not me. I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. And I mean, I feel like it kind of gets shadowed over Christmas a lot of the time. But hey, if that's what makes her happy. But the problem is with my house, we have 3 full-blown trees, right? 3 in the same house. So my wife does it big, so we'll try to support her and not get into a fight come tomorrow evening.
Damn right, that's the way to do it. That's a good husband right there. Just let her be happy. What's it gonna hurt? You're still getting Thanksgiving. You're still getting food and football, and your Lions play every Thanksgiving, and that's always a treat for you.
It is.
And we both took your Lions last week. You took them in Ward's wagers, and it came back to haunt both of us because they did get stomped. And we also took my Cleveland Browns, and it came back to haunt both of us. And they got beat. They look pathetic, but hey, that's what happens. But let's get into the show, man. We got to talk serious stuff. We'll start out with Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs this week goes to Topgolf on, I believe, Monday night. Texas boys to get help with his swing. Text Eric Carr. Text Hunter Renfroe, I believe. Hey, boys, help me with my swing. And then sometime between then and 5 a.m., he gets absolutely hammered and decides to drive 156 miles per hour in his Corvette, rear ends a woman and her dog in a RAV4. The woman, 23-year-old Tina Ortiz, I believe was her name. She dies in the accident. Ruggs injured, his baby mama injured. Things are not good for Henry Ruggs. And there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, we feel bad, Ruggs threw his career away. But he took someone's life, took someone away from their family. Focus on that first. What do you got to say about this?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I was kind of watching it progress on social media throughout the day on Wednesday. So there was, some guy with not a lot of followers says, hey, here's what's going on. Here's the deal. And so you're kind of not wanting to dig into it too much at that point because it's all alleged. And then, then they finally say, hey, this is what happened. There's been a fatality. There's even a video of the young lady's car on fire. I think there's never a good reason to ever drink and drive, right? Mm-hmm. We both agree with that. I think from the perspective of an NFL player as well, with the options that you have and even through the team, as far as reimbursement programs and things like that to get Ubers from point A to point B in situations like this. That's not a good look, right? You have all these other options. And so all of that in itself, before any other reporting came out, that's the first thing that goes to your mind. Of course, the first thing that goes to your mind is the young lady and her, her canine and her family. But then you hear he was driving 156 miles an hour with a loaded, firearm in the vehicle. And from people I've talked to that I actually know and that live in Vegas or have lived in Vegas, I mean, it's for the most part a residential area with a significant amount of stoplights. So I know is in the middle of the morning, 3:45 or whatnot, but driving 156 miles an hour. I honestly don't even know how that happens in a city like Vegas, but at the same time, we all make decisions that end up affecting our lives potentially. And this was just a very poor decision by a very young person, player. And unfortunately, it's going to be life altering for him at such a young age. But again, as adults, these are decisions we make, and we have to be able to live with the consequences and kind of go from there. So he's going to go to prison, as he should. And so, we'll see if his career ever comes around or comes back. But at this point, that's super relevant to anybody. It's more about, the victim and things that happen. But it's a terrible situation, man. It feels like we see something like this on a yearly basis. I don't want to say that's a yearly basis, but there's just so many dumb decisions made. And especially when you have so I could understand, and I can't say I can understand, but so say there was like a poor person, right, that couldn't afford to get an Uber. Yeah. And they made a poor decision to drive, and that person's still going to go to jail, and that person still is completely in the wrong. But when you have money and two, resources through your, the franchise that you play for, at that point, you just don't care, right? And then you throw on top you're driving 156 miles an hour, and that in itself kind of sums up, the entire thing. It's just reckless and completely unfortunate.
It is. And yeah, you said it, that there's a chance he could eventually be back in the NFL. And we've talked on the show a million times about if you've got talent, there's always a spot in the NFL for you, because the only color they care about is green. And at the end of the day, maybe one day he does. But he's got to pay for his mistake there. And that's first. I mean, he killed somebody, took someone away from their family, could have taken himself out, could have taken his girlfriend or wife out at the same time and taken them away from their daughter. Like, he's not only changing his life, he's changing the young woman he killed's life, her family, his daughter's life. This is a decision that affects so many people, and it's an ignorant ass decision. And
right.
Yeah. You've got the option to go with the team who will come and get you at any time. You're there in Vegas. You've got Uber. You've got Lyft. You've got all these other things to look at. And to get behind the wheel drunk is one thing. Then to do the 156, like you said, that's just stupid. And for Ruggs, this was a kid, 22 years old, millionaire. I'm almost surprised we don't hear about him more. Kids getting this much money at that age and have the world that they think they can do no wrong. We do hear about it a lot, but surprised more incidents like this don't happen. And for Ruggs, go to jail, pay your dues, get back to be part of your family, part of your daughter's life, focus on that. And that's all he can do. The Raiders did the right thing in releasing him right away, because it's not like you can stand behind him for any of this. It's not like it was just a DUI. He took somebody's life. That mistake basically takes him out of it, and you go from there. But just awful, awful news.
Without a doubt. Yeah, it's hard to make a case or stick up for him in any way, shape, or form at this point, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's people on Twitter like, oh, poor Henry Ruggs, look what he's done. He's not going to get his millions. I'm not going to listen to those people, because you're not looking at the big picture there. You're not looking at what was really taken away. You're just an idiot.
Correct. Correct.
Speaking of idiots, let's move on to another idiot. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, who tried to talk the NFL in allowing his homeopathic remedies to become basically a vaccine for COVID-19. He has tested positive for, guess what? COVID-19.
It was an aggressive move, dude. It was an aggressive move to try to pull that one. Unfortunately for him, it backfired.
This is a guy who dressed as John Wick for Halloween, and we all know John Wick's a badass, and apparently there's only one thing that can stop John Wick or anyone dressed as him, and that's COVID-19. For Rodgers, though, I get everyone's got their opinions of how they should do things when vaccines are up. I'm not going to tell anyone they should have to get the vaccine. I'm not going to force it upon anyone. But as a leader of a football team, you should look into that just to help your football team if you really want to win football games, just to stay on the field to a certain extent. But then, whatever. I mean, I don't know his true beliefs. We know he believes in these homeopathic remedies. We know his wife does.
Since when? Since when does he? Just because he's got now? I mean, was he win those remedies when he was with Danica Patrick?
Who knows?
She would have probably thought that shit was pretty weird.
I buy that 100%. Hey, we're gonna stop talking this for a second. I just looked up to see the game, and this is a problem with us doing the show on Thursdays. Josh Johnson is on the field for the Jets. Any idea what happened?
Mike White hurt his hand. Yeah. On the first the first drive or the second drive, maybe. Yeah, second drive. He hurt his right hand.
So two things I'm finding out right here. One, Mike White's hurt, and two, Josh Johnson is still in the NFL.
Yeah. And Mike White was listen, man, you hope that he can come back in the game, but yeah, if Josh Johnson's playing this football game, it's going to be a halftime, you go to bed kind of game.
Yeah, most likely because he's not looking good right off the bat. What do you expect out of Jordan Love Sunday? Let's go back to backup quarterbacks here. Segue right in.
I expect a very conservative game plan from LaFleur. I expect them to try to run the ball. And here's the deal. It's actually on the surface, you would look at Kansas City and Green Bay as Green Bay's got a real tough test. Well, for an offensive standpoint, Jordan Love's kind of walking into a great game for himself because Kansas City's defense is atrocious. But I definitely expect them to have a pretty conservative game plan and try to run the ball and give him, quick throws, conservative throws and kind of go from there. So I don't expect you to see too much out of Jordan Love as far as, sitting back and letting it rip. And of course, unless the game gets out of control, but I think Green Bay right now is a better team with Aaron Rodgers, of course. The one interesting report I saw was how the line shifted. So the line of this game was at I want to say 2.5. And then Aaron Rodgers news comes out and it goes all the way to 8.5, 9, 10. It's very rare you see an individual player swing a line like that. So again, it's a tall task for the young fella, but we'll have to see what happens. I just think that they're going to protect him and kind of try to ease him into things, which is what they should do.
And that's 2 weeks in a row that a Packers player has swung a spread like that. Devontae Adams goes out, that spread jumped. Now Rodgers is out, that spread jumps. But you're right with matching up against Chiefs. Chiefs defense has been god awful. And this is something you've been harping on for 2 years on this show that eventually was going to catch up to him, and it has this season. Pat Mahomes looks out of whack. They did not look good against the Giants, and now Jordan Love goes into this game with a great shot to basically run the same game plan that they ran on Monday night without wide receivers. They're going to give the ball to A.J. Dillon. They're giving the ball to Aaron Jones. Let's see what we can get out of Jordan Love. This is a guy who eventually is going to be the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. This is your chance to see how good he really is and what you need to do going forward to get him prepared.
I agree. Yeah, and it's not if, it's when, that Jordan Love gets his chance. So, but again, I think that he can have a nice game, especially if they're able to run the ball and he can work some play action. There's definitely going to be easy throws out there for him, and we'll just see how his confidence builds throughout the game. Josh Johnson, though, ass. Confirmed. Give me Mike White, damn it. Who would have thought we were saying this last week?
Mike White the only reason this game was exciting is because Mike White threw for 400 yards last week. Yeah. That's it. That's the only reason I was like, hey, let's see if Mike White can do it again. And
we're back to Thursday night football.
I get it finally on. I get home from work, get ready for the show, get it on. I'm like, wait a second. I don't see Mike White out there. I see Josh Johnson. Listen, even Josh Johnson's parents don't want to see Josh Johnson playing in this game tonight. That's how it is. Let's stay in the NFC. Let's talk another quarterback. Russ got the pins out of his hand. Russ could be back possibly after the bye week. Should he come back, or should the Seahawks say, you know what, rest a little longer?
No, he's got to come back. He has to. I mean, they don't have – they're to the point in their season they need to start winning football games. if Russ stays out any more weeks, and Geno Smith he's been okay, he's been fine, but Russ is a premier quarterback in this league. They need Russ, and they need Russ immediately, because if they lose another game or two, their playoff hopes are pretty much diminished at that point. So as much as you say you wouldn't want to rush Russ back, I think you kind of have to at this point. You know what I mean? I think you got to put him in there and listen, he'll be good. He'll be fine. They just have to figure out a way to win football games. I just don't think it's a very good football team, to be honest with you.
It's not. And it's been on the downhill for a few years now. And Russ, you see how good Russ is when this team doesn't have him. Now, last week, Geno Smith threw a touchdown pass to DK Metcalf, where DK Metcalf skied over former teammate Shaquille Griffin, ripped that ball out of his hand, fell into the end zone, touchdown. Beautiful play by DK Metcalf. When he was asked about that play, he said something about he hasn't gotten a lot of balls like that because it's a trust thing. Is DK talking smack on Russ, saying Russ doesn't trust him? Or is this just something that's gotten misconstrued based on? Okay.
Yeah, the latter. I mean,
I'm with you.
There's no chance DK Metcalf wants Geno Smith throwing in the ball more than Russell Wilson. We know that wide receivers are basically paid off of their production.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that's the case. So I think that's ridiculous. And yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that.
I'm with you on that. And a strange thing is, a lot of people are talking that this is Russ last year in Seattle, that there could be a trade in the offseason. And a team that definitely needs a quarterback going forward made a pretty interesting move this week before the trade deadline. And that's the Denver Broncos, where they traded Von Miller, second overall pick, and I believe the 2011 draft, who was basically the face of that franchise for a decade. Sack master, he's been hurt, but he's going to be back. And he's going to the Rams for second and third round picks, because the Rams, they don't need no stinking picks. They don't care about draft picks. Going to the Rams, joining Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. That defense looks nasty. That team is all in to win. We'll get to the Rams in a second, but now with that draft capital, blah, 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 capital, do the Broncos have what it takes to go out and get them a nice option like Russ Wilson?
What other options are there? There's just not. Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers potentially. Okay, so potentially they do. Russell Wilson isn't going to go anywhere. I don't see there's any way that he's not going to be on the Seattle Seahawks come 2022. Denver was kind of in on what we thought on the Tom Brady sweepstakes. That John Elway certainly has not been able to draft a quarterback capable of playing the position. Them signing Teddy Bridgewater was everybody kind of knew what it was. It's almost like a bridge quarterback. It was, they were almost banking on the roster.
Quarterback?
Yeah, there you go. They were almost banking on the roster just to be like that elite that Teddy could kind of come in and have a Trent Dilfer role or a quarterback that can just go out there and not lose the game. But it's not the case in today's NFL, especially, right? You got to have somebody that can throw it. So do they have the capital to get somebody? Yeah, certainly they do. But at the same time, for me, I don't know. They're not going to get a Russell Wilson. If I was Aaron Rodgers, it would certainly be an intriguing destination.
Noah Fant, Judy, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, KJ. I mean, there's tons of talent there. But for again, I just don't see. I mean, potentially they have the ammunition to get it done, but I don't know. This was clearly a John Elway and the crew deciding that their team wasn't going to go anywhere at this point, and kind of letting Von Miller go. And to your point, outside of Peyton Manning, he's been the face. Excuse me, the franchise. No, yep. Peyton Manning was there for a long or a short period of time, rather
4 years.
But yeah, he's been the face of the franchise. He's coming back, and so I think Denver kind of knows where they're at as a team. But it doesn't. None of it matters until you get the guy under center. Like if you can't find a quarterback, you're not going to win consistently in this league. And And so do I think they'll get a Russell Wilson? No. Do I think Aaron Rodgers may listen to them? But I can't speak to that. We don't even know what the hell Aaron Rodgers is going to do after the season. He could easily stay in Green Bay if Green Bay plays well, right? And makes a run at a championship. It'd be dumb for him to an extent to leave that for something else.
100% with you on that. I don't think they're interested in Deshaun Watson. I think it would be Aaron Rodgers. Basically, please, Aaron Rodgers, come here, win something with this offense. But that defense isn't that good anymore. Von Miller was a key piece of that defense. We don't know what Bradley Chubb is because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But they do have a nice piece in Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons in the back end. Outside of that, that defense struggles at the linebacker spot. But let's talk about this deal for the Rams. The Rams give up second and third round picks. They already don't have first round picks the next 2 years in the Matt Stafford trade. They don't care about picks. Now they will if Von Miller goes in free agency. They would get a third round pick, probably in the supplemental pick in 2023. So they would get something back. However, I think this deal for the Rams is a deal not only for this year, but they want a chance at signing Von for a few more years down the road.
Yeah.
To lock him up. So it's a smart move for them to add him to the deal. What are you expecting out of Von there in LA?
So when Von played in the games that he's played, he's top 5 in the league in pressures, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're adding that to Aaron Donald, who's the best defensive lineman in football,
maybe
arguably one of the best ever. Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm of the mind, to hell with picks. Right? To hell with mystery boxes. Give me Von Miller. Give me Von freaking Miller. Do I think Von's got stuff left in the tank? Certainly. Do I think Von could have probably come back from injury quicker to be part of the Broncos? Potentially. Mm-hmm. I expect Von Miller to probably play this week. And again, you add another piece. And I respect the hell out of what Snead and McVay, what they're doing, because they're saying, let's put our chips forward. And it may or may not work. I don't know. I hope it doesn't because we have their pick. Mm-hmm. So, but give it your all. I mean, you don't get these opportunities all the time. So to give up draft capital in order to acquire, valuable assets, mm-hmm. especially one of the name of Von Miller, excuse me. You just make that happen. And for a second and third, let's not act like that was crazy. Think back of what Khalil Mack got traded for, right? I know he was prime or whatnot, but again, I think it's a great idea and a great move by the Rams. Whether it works out in the end with a ring, it's yet to be seen. But at least you put yourself in the position to give yourself the best opportunity to get to that point.
I'm with you on that because right now, if I was going into next year's draft thinking, I could get Matt Stafford and Von Miller. I don't need a first, second, or third round pick.
Yeah, I don't need any picks, really. You could take all 7 of them.
Yeah.
If I could get those 2 players.
You got another edge rusher. You got your quarterback. You're good to go.
Yep.
Speaking of a guy who might get dealt for picks in next year's draft, or maybe in other drafts, as much as I hate the fact that we got to talk about this because it's annoying as shit to me, Odell Beckham Jr. So, earlier this week, Odell Beckham Sr., excuse me, posted a video on YouTube, which was 11 minutes worth of clips of Baker Mayfield being unable to hit a wide open. Did we just get a Jack Doyle touchdown?
Yeah.
Jack Doyle rules. Yes.
Sure does.
All right. Good for us to see that. But Odell Beckham Sr. decides he's going to post his video of 11 minutes of Baker Mayfield missing his son wide open constantly. And it has caused ridiculous amount of drama in Cleveland. And yeah, the point of this is OBJ does OBJ things. He seems to wear himself out of places. At least this time he didn't fight a field goal kicking net on his way out. But also, yeah, that video, 100% right. Baker's absolutely missed a wide open Odell Beckham. And before I go any further on this, I want to get your opinion on it. How are you thinking about this OBJ situation right now? What are you thinking?
It's typical, right? He does wear himself out of places. There's reports that he hasn't been running routes in accordance to what he's supposed to, and it's pissed the head coach off. And then let's not joke like LeBron tweeting free OBJ on the same day is not like it's all orchestrated bullshit, right? Between his dad and my favorite is people that think his dad like put the time in to pull the video. Like, let's stop there. Is OBJ 100% at fault? No, absolutely not. I was just looking. I watched the 11-minute video by Mr. Senior there. I didn't see any of the third and fourth down drops that he's had this year, and how he's come up in big moments when the ball has been thrown to him. Let's not act like OBJ's been fantastic when he's had his opportunities. He's actually been bad.
He's had one good game, but
yeah,
good.
And yeah, he's got no touchdowns in 6 games. We can, and it's okay if the chemistry between him and Baker isn't there. That's fine. But let's also sit back and look on how things went at the end of the Giants' time. Mm-hmm. Lots of similarities with the way OBJ's, it's all about winning until he's not getting the ball, and then it's not about winning anymore. Mm-hmm. So Cleveland's certainly in a difficult position when it comes to this entire situation. However, if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I take some encouragement based off the fact I think my quarterback is kind of a person that thrives off these situations. And when push comes to shove, the locker room is going to back up Baker Mayfield, and as they should, especially if some of the fact if him not talking to lots of people, him running different routes, everybody knows and sees that, right? Mm-hmm. So it may be, and listen, Baker has tons of blame to take as well, based off of the way that he's played at times. But at the same point, that locker room is going to be behind Baker Mayfield as much as they can, and it's not going to. To me, it's not a Baker versus Odell thing in the locker room. Mm-hmm. I think we know where the alliance stands in that locker room. And people can say, oh, yeah, we want Odell here. We want Odell here. Well, of course, that's what they're going to say in this situation. So I think, again, Odell, there's wrong on both sides of it. But Odell clearly tried to orchestrate a BS trade the morning of the deadline, which was Tuesday, between not only his father, but trying to throw out a scumbag like LeBron as well.
I'm with you on that 100%. LeBron, who goes on national TV, says he's a Browns fan, then tweets out free Odell. Chris Hubbard, who is a known friend of Odell Beckham and a guy who's been on IR more times than he's been on the field. Chris Hubbard, great dude, great human, not a great football player so far as a Cleveland Brown, tweets out #freedom, probably talking about OBJ.
Nobody cares about Chris Hubbard.
I mean, OBJ getting his friends to tweet stuff out. Let's just say this. I mean, you can get your best friend, who's Jarvis Landry, to say something. Jarvis Landry said nothing.
Jarvis is a professional.
Jarvis is a professional.
Yeah, he's a lunch pail kind of guy.
I'm not worried about Jarvis. Jarvis had a terrible game on Sunday. Jarvis was a big reason the Browns lost that game on Sunday. But Jarvis will come back next week. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about Jarvis. Now, the thing with Baker is Baker has not been good. We all know that. You can watch football. You don't even need to know football that well to know Baker has not been good this year.
He was good last week.
Passes.
He was good last week.
He was very solid last week, and his playmakers let him down.
Absolutely. And Jarvis Landry is 1A on that list, to your point, with drops and fumbles. But Odell is no help either.
No, Odell had a pass over the middle. Baker should have thrown it earlier.
Why does Odell have – can he not catch with two hands? Mm-mm. The ball is right where he has opportunities to catch the ball with both hands. He tries to Superman one arm everything that's thrown to him. I don't understand it.
That amazing catch he had against Dallas on Sunday Night Football, the one-handed catch that everyone knows about, I feel like that catch changed the trajectory of his career. Because before then, he was just Odell Beckham. We all knew him as a kid out of LSU, pretty good football player. And he blew up because of that in New York and the stature, and it's been downhill ever since. Now, for Baker, like I said, he hasn't been good. You have the offensive line with third best pass block rate and a quarterback who's 24th in getting rid of the football. He's holding on to the football too long in an offense that is known to be quick. He's not doing his job, so he's not getting the ball to his playmakers right away. Sometimes he's throwing that ball late, and when he does get to him on time, like you said, OBJ dropped 3rd and 4, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, 3 weeks in a row. For quarterbacks and wide receivers, there's got to be trust there. We just talked about it with DK Metcalf. Does Odell trust Baker? No. Did he trust Eli Manning? Not really. Towards the end, he definitely didn't. Does Baker trust OBJ? Or does he trust other guys who have been there for him, such as Jarvis, Rashad Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashad Perriman? You can talk about Baker not being able to thrive with a wide receiver who's been a superstar before, but think about what he did with no names. Like, look how he revived Rashad Perriman's career.
The offense isn't predicated on one guy.
It's not.
That's the issue. Like, it's not a force feed offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a timing offense. And Baker knows the spots he's trying to get the ball to when he's trying to get the ball there. And whether that's 82, whether that's 80, whether that's 13, it doesn't matter. And they're not gonna, like, Baker's gone through the times of trying to force feed OBJ. It just doesn't work. So, like, this argument last year was Baker better without OBJ? I thought was ridiculous. But at this point, it's like, I don't know. Like, what the hell is OBJ even doing out there? It's not like at this point that he's drawing attention from other DBs. Like, right? It's really not like that.
4 plays last week where they had safety help over the top. 4 plays.
Yeah.
For a guy who's supposed to be a superstar.
The respect's not there anymore. And so I think getting rid of him, I mean, although you can argue they butchered it if they could have gotten a 4th rounder for him from the Saints. From the Saints, you make that deal. But now you're in a point where one, you can't just dismiss him from the team. The rules of the NFLPA, you have to either pay the guy or you have to either play the guy or have him part of the team, or you have to get rid of him. Like Deshaun Watson. It's different with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's willing to just show up and make money. And so it's a tougher situation with this one. And if this is the case and they're going to end up releasing him, you kind of shit the bed if you could have just traded him, come Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
That's why before I get to what I think is going to happen here, when you look at these players, you can look at both of them and say, right now, they're not good. But you can also look at it to saying they're still probably pretty good players. Can both those things be true? Yes. Have we seen either one right now? No, we've just seen shit. Baker, we talked about it a million times last year. He's probably not better without OBJ. However, this is year 4 for Baker. He's not playing very well with OBJ. OBJ is probably not playing again. So for the Browns right now, they've got to say, listen, we got to find out if this is really true, that he's better without this guy going forward. Because if they're going to pay him almost $40 million a year, you have to find out right now who this guy is. And over these next 9 games, they need to find out exactly who Baker Mayfield is before he becomes the Cleveland Browns version of Jared Goff and is the reason this team isn't winning. Because this roster is still pretty damn good. And then right now, the quarterback is holding them back. And if Case Keenum can go out there on a Thursday night and get rid of the ball quickly, I'm not saying Case Keenum is better than Baker. Then if Baker's not doing it, eventually you got to move on. You got to find out who that guy is. As far as OBJ, in his contract, there's a lot of these contracts have basically detrimental to team clauses. If that was written in when that extension was made by Dave Gettleman, so right now you're trusting Dave Gettleman contract skills. If there is a clause that can be said that he is causing issues detrimental to the team, you can suspend him for the rest of the season. He'll still get some of the money, probably not all. They'll have to work out and negotiate. That's probably what Andrew Berry and his representatives are doing right now. He will not be back, and then he'll eventually be traded. Hopefully. Or they release him and owe him nothing in the offseason. But right now,
what's he going to be traded for?
I don't think he's got any value, but there might be a team out there who doesn't want to battle with other teams to sign him who give up
that
a
old 6th rounder. Get that old 6th.
Probably somewhere between a 4 and a 6. It'll probably be a 4 that is maybe based on playing time can move to a 3 or drop to a 5. But the thing is, who's going to look at OBJ in the offseason and think, oh, we got to sign this guy to a big deal? No one. Because that guy hasn't been seen in 4 years probably. The guy everyone expects. He's been terrible in Cleveland. He had 1 good game against Dallas last year. Then he got hurt. Is he still explosive? Absolutely. Is he still capable of being the receiver we saw in New York? Absolutely. Does he really want to be that? Or is he caught up in his head that he's better than everything else, and that's all that matters? Guess we'll find out going
been
forward.
that. Yeah. Again, I think OBJ, the idea of OBJ is way bigger than the player that OBJ is.
Mm-hmm. And it's sad that it's come to that because he was probably one of the most fun talents to watch in the league at one point. And now he's an absolute joke. I mean, no, like I said, 4 plays you saw safety top or safety help over the top. And what's the damn show with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, whatever that show is?
Undisputed.
Okay, that show or one of the other ones on Fox
terrible.
Sports.
Just
they
terrible.
tweeted out that it was Kevin Stefanski's fault basically because they showed that Stefanski, when he was the OC in Minnesota, Thielen's targets dropped, Stephon Diggs' targets dropped, and then when he came to Cleveland, they showed that OBJ's targets dropped. Now, you look at that, yes, their targets dropped. Wins went up. Offensive numbers went up all around the board. You ran the ball more. So when you're running the football more, you're probably not going to get as many targets. So let's
if you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, you better be running the football more.
We should just stop putting out bullshit stats, Fox Sports. And to go on to that, they were talking about how OBJ had all this help over the top. They showed 3 clips that was on Twitter. I watched the whole game again 4 times. You showed 3 of the times and talked about it like it was every single time. He's not drawing the same coverage he used to because they don't trust him to catch football. And that's all I have to say about that. Let's move on. Let's pick some games. Let me pull up the schedule here. I don't even know what we got. I know that I was picking the Colts to win this one because
that's probably pretty smart now.
Because the Jets, they're not that good. Even though they did beat the Bengals, who were the number 1 seed in the AFC going into last week, and then you go and shit the bed against the Jets. And speaking of shit in the bed, before we move on to that, and we're talking Colts Jets here, was that the worst pass you've ever seen by a quarterback? The one that Carson Wentz threw at his own goal line, left-handed, I believe, into the arms of a Titans player at the end of that football game.
It might have been. It may not have been the worst throw, but like then you look at where it was in the spot of the game, a minute 30 left on the clock. Probably one of the worst decisions I've ever seen.
Like, what are you doing? Why decide to throw that football at that time? I mean, it was just absolute trash.
That's kind of some of Carson Wentz's season, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's who Carson was last year, and you're like, okay, is this the guy just trying to force things because he's got no weapons? Apparently, that's just who the hell he was. Let's get into our game picks. I don't think those are our record from last week, but those are our total records. You're game up on me. So let's see what we got this week. Let's get going. Let me get a piece of paper here so I can write them down because we are on the board today. Let's go game number 1. We got Raiders-Giants.
I'll go with the Raiders. What
a horrible season it's been for the Raiders.
I mean, but what a great season it's been for Derek Carr, and they have a good record. Like Derek Carr has really been good.
But dealing with what they've dealt with, God, it's just been crazy that they're still 5-2. Are they 5-2? Or I mean,
they're 5-2.
They're pretty damn good. Falcons Saints.
I'll go with the Saints. I think it's going to be Taysom Hill this week. Jameis, my guy. I think Jameis is probably one of my favorite players in the league. It sucks that he's toast, but I will go with New Orleans.
And yeah, it absolutely sucks because I thought Jameis started to finally play kind of decent in that game. I thought he was amped up. The team was riding with him, playing Tampa Bay. And yeah, I'm going to take the Falcons just because if it is Taysom, I don't trust Taysom Hill to be a quarterback full time. Bills, Jags.
Bills
are the best team in the AFC. Yes, no? By far?
I'm not there yet.
Oh, and you know what?
I mean, I said last week that the Bills were the best team in the league, but I'm just not there yet. I watched them last week. I mean, they could be, but I'm not going to go with consensus yes on that one.
I mean, it's tough because for a second I was thinking it could be the Titans, and we'll get into them. They lost Derrick Henry this week for the season, who we didn't even bring up.
They upgraded, so.
I mean, they did get AP. Or, sorry, his initials are AP, but his nickname's
yeah, I still don't understand it all. Still don't understand it all. He's been in the league 46 years. I still don't understand his nickname.
I mean, it was 14 years ago today. He broke the NFL rushing record as a rookie for a single game.
240 yards or something.
296.
296.
I believe it's 296.
All right,
if I remember correctly.
240 yards and plus 56.
It was a lot of yards that he ran for. Browns Bengals.
Browns.
Oh man, this is a must-win almost for the Browns because you lose this, you drop to 4-5. You have no tiebreakers basically with anyone above you. If you want to get in the playoffs, you need to win this football game. Patriots Panthers.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Browns in that one.
Okay. All right. Panthers.
I'm gonna take the Pats.
CMC's back. CMC back.
He potentially. Is, but who's their quarterback? Is it going to be PJ Walker? Is Sam Darnold going to play? Does it really matter?
If you have CMC out there, man, it doesn't matter.
Right now, I'm more afraid of PJ Walker than I would be of Sammy Darnold because I don't know PJ Walker is a wild card. Wild card bitches.
Yeah, I mean, remember when Sam Darnold was having that sweet start?
Yeah, 3-0 start, and then CMC went out, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't play football anymore."
Yeah,
CMC does only running back who deserved all that money so far. Speaking of running backs who got a lot of money but hasn't really shown much, even though he had a hell of a play last week, Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys, they face the Broncos. Who you got?
The Cowboys. The Cowboys are legit, especially with Dak.
Definitely legit.
I mean, the fact that they won with Cooper Rush last week, you get Dak back, who's a top 5 quarterback in this league. You can argue with me, you cry. I will take the Cowboys. I think Cowboys are good.
Cowboys are really good. That defense has been way better. The talent they had in that back end at one point shows you how bad Mike Nolan was.
And just the genius that is Mike McCarthy, just a legend out there, really gives them super advantage. So, yeah, there's just no way I can go against the Cowboys with that.
I mean, yeah, you brought up the Mike McCarthy factor. I can't argue that. I mean, I'm taking Cowboys right away. Texans getting Tyrod Taylor back, facing the Dolphins. Who you got?
Gross. This is a gross game.
It's going to be the best game of the weekend.
Give me Tua. Give me Tua.
I'm going to take Tyrod. Vikings and Ravens.
I feel bad for Tyrod, by the way. Vikings and Ravens.
Yep.
I will take the Ravens.
I also will take the Ravens, even though I hope I'm very wrong on that one. Chargers and Eagles.
Chargers. Eagles are not good. And
I
know that they beat the shit out of the Lions 44-6.
Blind squirrel finds a nut.
Everybody just don't pay attention to that game because they're the Lions.
But it's crazy. There's only one quarterback who's been worse based on the analytics metrics there's only been one quarterback better than Sam Darnold per analytic metrics lately, and that is
Jalen Hurts, you mean?
No. I don't even know. I said it wrong again. But it doesn't matter. Justin Herbert hasn't been good the past 3 weeks. Hopefully he gets back on track because he's been as bad as Sam Darnold. Okay. But he's got an injured right hand, which came out today. I'm still taking the Chargers. I couldn't think of the way to word that properly, so what the heck? Shit happens. Packers Chiefs.
I'll go with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not good, by the way.
No,
I've seen a large enough sample size. I think 7-8 games is a large enough sample size to say that team has issues. But I can't say Jordan Love against the Chiefs.
Dan Orlovsky, former Lions legend, was on Twitter again this week tweeting out stuff about Patrick Mahomes possibly being one of the best, or at least mechanically.
Yeah.
I mean,
he might be right. He might be right. I mean,
focus on 3 other things.
Yeah. Arm strength and like things have come super easy for Patrick over, but the problem is they're trying to do too much. And so I think that this is probably a good week to miss Aaron Rodgers. The Packers win this game, then Chiefs Arrowheadville there out in Kansas City will be a mess.
Cardinals 49ers.
I'll take the Cardinals.
I also take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals.
AJ Green last week. What the hell was he doing?
Have
we found out yet?
Not looking.
Okay, we'll go with that. That is an excellent answer. That is the best explanation I've heard so far. Titans Rams, which is our Sunday night game, which
I'll take
going to be really good.
I'll take Staff. Although I do think Adrian Peterson goes for 100 yards.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't. Let me take that back. Let me walk that back. 80 yards.
This team talked up Jeremy McNichols
McNichols. Yeah, see,
for a
I just
while,
don't know if
and
Adrian
then they're
Peterson
like,
gets
you
enough
know what?
touches.
We're signing Adrian Peterson and bringing him in. And
Because
if there's
Jeremy
any
McNichols doesn't do what they want to do
yeah,
offensively. He's not like Adrian Peterson is.
tackles, run between,
Is Todd
go.
Gurley working at a car wash?
Working at the oh, Michael Pittman dropping fantasy points there, and I need to win this week because I face you. Damn it,
I enjoy that.
Michael Pittman. That's actually a pretty well thrown ball by
And pretty well thrown as a dime.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
and
a
then
dime.
Marcus May's like, get that ball out of here. All right, let's move to our Monday night game,
All right.
which is, it's a doozy of a game. This one, 3-2 final, more than likely. Bears Steelers.
I'm going to go with the Steelers.
I go with the Bears.
Go for it. You just hate the Steelers.
I do. I hate this, but I also hate Matt Nagy. And can we talk about how good Justin Fields looked last week?
On that
Looked
one play?
Looked pretty solid over.
He
I
was
mean, he looked
fine.
better.
He was fine. He was fine.
Better without Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you.
All right, those are our game picks. Just so whoever listened to that, just take my picks, take them to Vegas, win yourself billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Because
be asking for money to get home. Be asking for money to get home.
All right, before we get towards wagers, let's get into our first college football playoff rankings. Let me pull them up so I make sure I got the right ones. Who was too high for you in the rankings?
Alabama.
Bama?
Yes. Yep. For them to go in at 2 is just they should have been 4, in my opinion.
I'm good with that. Who do you put above them? Michigan State?
Yes, Michigan State. I just it's tough for Cincinnati, right? Like my main point of this segment it was how it's tough for Cincinnati and it's tough for a non-Power 5 conference because what else could Cincinnati do?
Yeah, right? Cincinnati's getting a raw deal here, and I understand that they struggled against 2-6 Navy, and then they beat 1-7 Tulane, but
the college football season it's an up and down season. Mm-hmm. You win, right? And so for me, Oklahoma's, I think their win against Notre Dame is more significant to me than Oklahoma in what they've done. And I know with the quarterback change and whatnot, it's been different, but I just think that Cincinnati got a raw end of a deal.
I'm with you. There's no reason that they should be where they're at. They shouldn't be below Ohio State. They shouldn't be below Oregon. They should be the 4th team right now, at least in those rankings. Now, do I think they would beat Georgia? Probably not, but I don't think anyone's beating Georgia this year. I think Georgia's the best team, and they're going to call that a touchdown, so I did get those fantasy points anyway, apparently. So nice job, Michael Pittman. But
sure, that's
Cincinnati,
Megatron completed the process. Just shit here. Okay.
What
we do?
What is a catch? Nobody knows.
I've been watching football my entire life. I still don't know what a catch.
Couldn't tell you.
Megatron literally caught it, walked down the street, got a bagel, and it was overturned in Chicago. So I don't even know.
What kind of bagel did you get?
And everything.
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 I'll go with it. But for Cincinnati, played well last year, basically undefeated most of the year, got in. I don't remember their final record off the top of my head right now. I'm a little thrown off. But
lost one game.
They get told, hey, play somebody. They play Notre Dame, who neither one of us can stand, but that was a pretty damn good win. Very convincing victory on a team that at Notre Dame should have beat them. This is just Cincinnati. They're just Cincinnati.
Notre Dame's been the most overrated team of our lifetimes every single year that we start the college football season.
But they're the 10th ranked team in the CFP playoffs right now. I mean, you're looking at this. That should be a big enough win to at least give Cincinnati a chance.
They executed them. They literally executed Notre Dame. Not sure what else to say.
Cincinnati definitely too low. Another thing about these is if you look at it, Ohio State's got a perfect setup for themselves. Basically, win out, and you're in. Right now, though, Oregon's ahead of them, and everyone said, "Oh, Oregon's got to be ahead of them." They beat them head-to-head. But I think if those two teams played right now, I think Ohio State wins by 14 points. that's the thing with the way the college football season goes. You lose early, you got a chance, and I think the Buckeyes lost early, and it's going to work out for them. Bama at 2. I mean, Bama's a damn good football team, but 7-1, put Michigan State above them at least the first time. Show some respect to undefeated teams.
This doesn't matter at this point. Like, right? Like, this isn't going to be what it is. So, like, again, how do you put Bama there? Like, are we thinking A&M's are we going to make the argument that A&M's better than Ohio State, Michigan State? They might be better than Michigan State. I don't know. But, I just don't agree with it. I don't mind putting Alabama in the 4. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But, like, not a 2.
I mean, so you're saying that Bama losing to number 14 is less harmful than Cincinnati beating number 10 is good. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It just shows there's no respect for the power or outside of the power.
Exactly. And I think this is a team that definitely deserves to be in there right now. And this is a team who basically made fun of Southern Florida, who was the fake national champions.
UCF.
Yeah, I am not with it tonight. I'm failing on a lot of these. We need we need Stat Boy at the end of this thing to fix all these things.
UCF it's not good. UCF.
One of the Southern non-Florida State, because Florida State's not good anymore.
UCF will probably destroy Florida. Yeah. Florida State, rather.
But I'm with you. Cincinnati, put them up higher. They deserve more respect than that. Maybe they don't finish up there because they're not playing anyone else. But at least give them the shot and give them the credit for playing Notre Dame, which is what you asked them to do. Oklahoma is sitting there at number 8. I mean, they're 9-0. I understand the schedule, but do you really think if Michigan and Oklahoma played right now, who wins that football game?
Michigan or Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
Michigan.
You think Michigan wins it?
I do. I don't think Oklahoma's very good. I mean, now Caleb Williams playing quarterback. I've seen a couple weeks of it, but I actually think Michigan's a good football team. So I actually would take Michigan in that circumstance, but again, I don't respect it in the Big 12 at all.
I'm with you. Unfortunately, I couldn't even argue that. I'm like, we'll throw it out there as I'm looking at these good old rankings here. Crazy thing is, Iowa, who was the number 2 team in the country now, they lost 2 in a row. They're down to 22.
Yeah, they should be down to 72. They've gotten smoked by mediocre-ass teams.
They have. Wisconsin 1 spot above them. But looking at these rankings, Ohio State wins out. They're in. Michigan State can do the same, basically.
They won't, but yeah.
I don't think they're going to. But what happens is, let's say Ohio State beats Michigan State, and then they lose to Michigan.
Okay.
Let's say that happens. I don't.
You got any fairy dust over there, or like that's not going to happen?
Sprinkling it on, baby. Let's say that happens, and you got all the teams sitting there at 10-1. What does the playoff committee do in that situation?
They put Ohio State in.
I think so too, because it comes down to the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State will probably be in it. They'll face whoever and just go.
Yep,
but
I agree.
We'll talk about this more next week because it's going to start meaning more each week, obviously. True. What do you got for Ward's Wagers this week?
Yeah, so I will start out. I will take Carolina at home plus 3.5. Again, if Christian McCaffrey's back, I think plus 3.5 is enough. I don't care if it's PJ Walker, PJ Tucker, PJ Washington. It doesn't really matter to
Masks.
Me. Yeah, PJ Masks. Exactly. My kids will appreciate that one. I will also take Cleveland plus 2.5 on the road in Cincinnati. Man. I just can't quit Cleveland for whatever reason. I'll take the Chargers on the road minus 1.5 against Philadelphia. And my final is I will take Arizona plus 1.5 on the road in San Francisco, out there in the Bay Area.
In the Bay. All right, there we go. 2-2 last week, 19-14 on the year. You're going to go 4-0 this week, so it'll be 23-14. Staying above 500, winning money. It's a guarantee. Brother, you got anything else you want to add to the show tonight?
I'll do, man. Hope everybody has a great week. Enjoy the Lions being off, and we'll see you next week.
This week.
They will not.
They will not. And, hey, when they come back, could be a different team. That bye week. Yeah, that bye week does some things.
Yeah, apparently Jared Goff got the the opposite of whatever the dudes in Space Jam gave to Charles Barkley or whatever. So I'm just really looking forward to that.
Michael's unsecret stuff,
Yeah,
apparently,
yeah, we
in
think so.
Jared Goff's water bottle. Yeah, Jared Goff,
He sucks.
he sucks. And
He
I
stinks.
get there's not
I don't
great
care.
wide
He
receiving weapons, but
stinks.
he has not been good, not making
Throw
good
some
decisions.
interceptions. Throw the ball down the field. Throw some picks. I'm okay with it. Like, stop throwing it 4 yards.
This kid was a slinger like his first couple of years and had one of the greatest performances against Patrick Mahomes you'd ever see. He threw for like 500 yards. It was an insane battle. And now he's like, if I throw the ball 7 yards, there's a chance someone else could have it. I don't want that. Can't have that. Listen, you got to take chances, especially when you're a team like the Lions. We'll see what they do going forward. Anyway, next week we will not be here. We will be off. I got kid stuff to do. Starting in 2 weeks, we will be on Wednesday nights starting at 8 o'clock. Make it easier. I won't be coming straight from work. I'll be able to get a little rest, get into the show. We'll be good. And then I won't be so space brained. Also, for those watching, there will be no Thursday night football game for us to stare at because sitting here in this new setup I got, if you see me looking up like this, I'm staring at the TV. And a lot of times we lose our balance there. We don't know what we're talking about anymore. We start talking about the Thursday night game. So for those who listen, those who watch, it'll help the show be a little more smooth. So without further ado, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Hopefully everybody is good for the next couple weeks. Brother man, you have a great rest of your week. I will talk to you another time. For everyone else, as always, remember, if you live a life you love the life you live. Night, kid.